Welcome to Moxie Bets presented by Caesar Sportsbook. I'm your host, Katie Mox. Today's show is a fun-filled Monday. Argentina wins the World Cup. We'll recap one of the most exciting finals in World Cup history. Week 15 is coming to a close, but we're going to take a look at some bigger storylines and betting trends from the weekend. And we will also preview tonight's game between the Packers and the Rams. It's a disgusting one, but we've extracted some value somehow for you people. And of course, you've got some Mox Locks coming your way. Before we get started, let's welcome in our Mr. Monday, one of our favorite guests, Danny Brasco. Danny, how's it going?
I'm happy to be here on a Monday that is a pretty gross game for Packers Rams, but I think there are some spots to attack. There is some value to extract. A wild weekend of course, and maybe the most epic World Cup of all time, and some NFL things that even long-time watchers may have never seen. So excited to get into this Monday and recap some of it with you.
Honestly, and that was the funniest thing, is that I don't even watch soccer really, but of course I watched the World Cup final and it was just thrilling. I mean, we'll get into that in the Mox Up, but it was absolutely amazing. But then I was kind of not that excited about the NFL slate. I'm like, God, like what could follow that? And then the 1 p.m. slate was wild. I mean, there were so many crazy things that happened. It's just like the NFL will not be outdone, you know? And so they were like, oh, best World Cup ever, hold my beer. Let's go into, a couple overtimes. Let's have all these crazy things happen. So, it was a great, yesterday was a phenomenal day of sports, I will say. And on that note, let's get into Mox Thought. Messi has finally done it, Danny. Argentina won the World Cup in the most exciting fashion ever after a back-and-forth game with France. Even with France's Mbappe hat trick, every time I say Mbappe, I think of the Hanson brothers. It wasn't enough to win a second consecutive World Cup for the French as they fall short in a penalty shootout, 4-2. One, what are your thoughts on the World Cup? And then two, can we finally settle this debate that Messi is really the greatest of all time?
I mean, it was so unbelievably epic, and I'm over here pretty close by to Queens, which is a borough that has more ethnicities and languages spoken. So every country was out here celebrating. The chants were going. It was such a great World Cup, the final to close it. And look, I talked to my football experts. There's no more debate. He's the undisputed GOAT, and it's the way he's done it too. It's not just that he has every accolade under the sun. He's beaten the best to do it, and all the best don't quite have his resume. And look, even outside the Ronaldo-Messi debate, look at the other guys. Maradona, another Argentinian, never won the Copa America. Pele never played in Europe. Di Stefano never played in a World Cup. Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo, never won Champions League, and Cristiano never won a World Cup. That's it. Messi's the GOAT.
All right. Well, he's the greatest of all time. Now, did you place any bets on this final match? We did have BJ Cunningham from Action Network come on. He said over 2.5 goals, which cashed pretty well, and both teams to score. He was leaning. Now, it wasn't exactly one of his bets, but he was leaning on France, and of course, that didn't end up hitting. But did you place any bets on this, or were you just a fan like me? I was just watching.
I was just a fan. I was doing my NFL research while the game was going on, bright and early with a cup of coffee and just like fanboying, like mouth on the floor. I saw a lot of people saying, if you've never watched soccer, just stop now because this is as good as it's going to get. Like that's the top.
And that was so funny because I was like, well, maybe I'll watch soccer all the time if this is what it is. I mean, it was just back and forth and back and forth. And, you kind of hated to see anybody lose the match because it was just such a battle and they did so well. But at the end of the day, happy for Messi. And like you said, he is now the greatest of all time. Now, there is a lot of the talk about, is he the greatest athlete of all time? And we talked about this a little bit on the pre-show. My official stance is no one is the greatest athlete of all time because you can't compare sports. I'm happy to say that Messi is the greatest athlete of soccer or football, but like I don't think that you can. And by the way, he's 35. Tom Brady's 45. We talk. Sports are different. Accolades are different. Let's not argue over it. But what do you think?
Totally fair point. Diplomatic answer from Katie Mox. Fair enough. But I will say, if you want to make an argument for it, he's the best player in the most popularly played sport, the most globally watched sport, and he's 5'8", 150. Katie, I weigh more than Lionel Messi, and he's playing a physical sport. Like, what am I doing?
But soccer players are short. Yeah, but soccer players are short, aren't they?
Even so, it's a physical sport. There's 6-footers out there. There's guys he's banging bodies with. So I just think it's so impressive to have all that as a regular guy walking around the street.
Oh, well, I think he's anything but regular. All right, but fair, fair, fair. Getting into our next Mox thought, the Bills clinched the top seed in the AFC playoff run with a win over the Dolphins, 32-29 on Saturday. This was interesting. A lot of people said to, and myself included, by the way, hand up, Tua can't play in the snow. The Dolphins did better than I thought they were going to. Bills Mafia, obviously very colorful, throwing snowballs at Dolphins and onto the field. But I did think that was interesting that they cleared the field, but not the stands. They just left the attendees to sit in snow, and they got what they got. But back to where they are in the standings, they are the favorite to win the Super Bowl at plus 340. Can they remain the top seed in the AFC? Do you think that the Chiefs are creeping up, or are the Bills really the best team?
It's so hard to get a pulse on the front runner for the AFC. It feels like every week we're juggling it every week. And I don't want to be reactive. We talk about all the time how the public overreacts to something. Me and you go and bet against that overreaction, right? Like, I don't want to do that on a longer term basis either, because even when we see the best of the Bills, they feel like they give me the heebie-jeebies sometimes. They make me distrust them. They make boneheaded moves. They end up in closer games than they should be. With that talent level on the field, sometimes it feels like they shoot themselves in the foot. Josh Allen throws a lot of interceptions this year, and if it happens in a big moment, I just even watching the Chiefs go to overtime with the Texans, like I still trust Mahomes more than Allen. So, but I honestly, I'm going to come on the show, be an expert, and not give you an answer. I feel like the Bills deserve to be the favorite, but I don't trust it. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm clouded by the fact that I've got a futures ticket on the Bills. So, yeah, I think they're still the best team. And I still think just, holistically, top to bottom on both sides of the ball, they just have all the talent there. And I know that Josh Allen has been kind of shaky and he's thrown a lot of interceptions. And you're totally valid to say that it's hard to trust them. But I feel like they started out as like juggernauts. Then they kind of dipped in the middle of the season, and they're kind of looking like juggernauts yet again. I mean, this Dolphins team is a very good team, and they beat them earlier this year. Again, Tua played better in the snow than I thought he would, but Josh Allen still came out and had that really gritty win to get his team to where they are. So I'm going to say yes on the Bills remaining the top seed in the AFC. Moving on to that other team that you just talked about, if we talk about the Chiefs, they won their 7th consecutive AFC West division title with a win in overtime against the Texans, which was just embarrassing. 30-24, it was 24-24 going into overtime. So the Chiefs are still battling for that number one spot in the AFC. We've already kind of talked about this. I think it's going to be the Bills. You kind of think it's going to be the Chiefs. When you look at the remainder of the season, how do you feel about the Chiefs, one, winning the AFC, and two, their Super Bowl odds? It's interesting. They've now dipped to number 3 behind the Eagles. So it's Bills, Eagles, and then the Chiefs at plus 500. Is that a bet that you would take?
Yeah, I think I would. I would grab, if they're going to dip down to the third, favorite to win it. I think now is some decent value to grab on them. Because again, we fade narratives. Texans, they had to go to overtime to beat the Texans. It's one game, and makes you distrust the favorite, but it's one game. The remaining games they have left: Seahawks, Broncos, Raiders. Those are all very winnable games for the Chiefs. For the Bills, they've got Bears, Patriots, Bengals. That's a little bit tougher. Division rival in the Patriots, not the old Patriots, but and then Joe Burrow and the Bengals that are going to be probably playing for the division, maybe in that game. So they'll get everything from Joey B in that one. And standings are neck and neck. Easier path for the Chiefs right now, but Buffalo's got the tiebreaker, so it's going to be tight. It's going to come down to the end.
Yeah, I feel like the NFC is like a little bit more clear cut to me than the AFC is. The AFC is still very much up in the air because you also can't count out Joe Burrow and those Bengals, especially after that big win over Tom Brady and the Bucs. All right, let's talk about my favorite frauds, the Vikings. So they've now clinched a playoff spot and the NFC North title. They had the greatest comeback in NFL history, fine, but how much of that is really that the Vikings are great or that Jeff Saturday doesn't understand clock management and falls apart? I don't know. They're plus 2,800 to win the title. I think they get bounced out in the first round of the playoffs, but how far do you think they can go?
Oh, we're in agreement. First round exit because I agree with you. Beautiful, amazing comeback. Makes for some great Saturday football that we didn't know was coming. But down 30-0. I mean, we're all laughing. We're all laughing at the Vikings.
At home.
At home, that's embarrassing. And, we knew that regression was coming. The Vikings rank really high in their luck index. They've gotten measurably, statistically very lucky. And regression was due. They lose outright easily to the Lions when the Lions were made the favorite. Everyone's like, why are the Lions the favorite? What's Vegas doing? Vegas knows, and they get beat easily, and the Colts put a drubbing on them. So that comeback's nice, but I don't put too much stock in it. I think they get bounced early by any real contender.
If they were down 30 by a real contender, there's no way in hell that they could come back and win that game. It's like, yes, maybe the Colts got a little bit lucky there in the first half. I know there was like a run back, a defensive touchdown and whatnot, but like to me, the Vikings are just frauds. And yeah, first round exit for them. Kirk Cousins can't perform in prime time, and we're really thinking he's going to be able to do it in a playoff game. I think not. With Caesars Sportsbook and Casino, every bet earns with Caesars Rewards. That means whether you win or lose, you're always earning towards perks like free stays at iconic Caesars properties, game tickets, dining, and more. And if you haven't started yet, here's a reminder. Your first bet is on Caesars, up to $1,250. Download the app with promo code OMAHAFULL and place your first bet. If you win, congrats. If you don't, you'll get it back as a free bet. Lions, Tigers, and tailgates. Oh my, the college football season is always a great time of year. Besides the jerseys, the face paint, and the foam fingers, there's the food. And nothing gets you more fired up for game day than Eckrich smoked sausage. They're naturally hardwood smoked and have the perfect blend of spices. From buffalo sausage dip to sausage chili mac and cheese, Eckrich smoked sausage is a quick way to bring flavor to all your tailgate meals. Visit Eckrich.com for easy, one-of-a-kind sausage recipes. Eckrich, you do you. Time now for Capper's Corner. We welcome back in Danny Brasco, and we preview tonight's Monday Night Football game, and it's an ugly one. The Rams versus the Packers in the frozen tundra. Packers still minus 335 on the money line. Heavy favorites here. Spread a touchdown over under 39.5. Danny, we're going to have several bets on this one, but let's talk about the game holistically, money line spreads, total, team totals, whatever it be. If you had to pick a bet on this game, what do you like?
So
or what do you hate the least?
Yeah. Well, you're right. Well said. What can you live with betting and not feel horrible about? Well, I do like the Packers to win this game, but 7 is a large number. And I'd rather play something else instead of laying 7 in a game where the total is set at 39.5. Low total, low number of points. Look, guys, you know me. If you've been on this show and been watching Moxie Bets, I see a total that's under 40. I'm auto betting the under just because everyone else is auto betting the over, right? But I think everyone's going to remember Baker's last drive against the Raiders to somehow pull it off. And that was the only drive where any offense happened at all for the Rams.
And they got helped out by the refs multiple times
100%.
And with bad penalties from the Raiders. Don't even get me started on that game. But yes.
100%. And look, I'll let you be the card-carrying member of the Rams Hater Club, as you like to call yourself so affectionately. But, aside from that, they were stuck in the mud. They could do nothing. It's been that way the whole season. And the Packers aren't the Packers defense of last season, which is very good, very vaunted. They've struggled against the run. They're actually dead last in rush DVOA on defense. Guess who can't run the ball to save their lives and who's dead last in rush success rate? The Los Angeles Rams. So you're going to tell me that Baker Mayfield doesn't have a run game behind him and he's got to pass against the Packers secondary, who's actually good, Jair Alexander, Rasul Douglas. Where does the offense come from? So under 39.5 is an easy bet for me. I got to play it.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm on that under as well. But for this particular bet, I like the Rams team total under 15.5. And really for all the reasons that you just said, don't be fooled, people, by Baker's last drive, game-winning touchdown. They had just 3 points until the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, just 3 points. And again, that's a whole lot of Josh McDaniels being Josh McDaniels. And it's a whole lot of, bad penalties that kept that drive going. Baker Mayfield is still Baker Mayfield, people. Okay, let's look at how he did in Carolina. He's only thrown for multiple scores one time this season. And like you said, the Rams cannot run the ball to save their lives. It's in the frozen tundra. The Rams have so many injuries, so many holes, particularly in their offense. It's not happening. Team total Rams under 15.5.
Yeah,
On
I
that
definitely.
note,
And I was going to say, just to add on to that, I do like that a lot alongside that. Like, if I think that points are going to be at a premium, I don't see Rodgers and the Packers going crazy. Bakhtiari is out for them as well. They're guards, so they might have a little more trouble. And if the points are lacking, it's definitely going to come on the side of the Rams mostly. So I'm with you on that. I might play both of those and double down.
Yeah, here's it. I mean, we're on the same side. Packers win, but probably can't cover the 7. We both like the under, and we both think the Rams can do nothing. So, yeah, those 3 all fit together here. If we're looking at these quarterbacks, And again, Aaron Rodgers is obviously much better than Baker Mayfield. However, Aaron Rodgers has not looked like Aaron Rodgers this year. I believe he's only thrown for 300 yards like once this entire season. So let's look at the quarterback bets. What's something that you're leaning on or that you really like for these quarterbacks?
Yeah, I mean, let's continue the fade in the narrative of Baker Mayfield. Faker Mayfield, the reason that his pass yard, like, look at his pass yard total. It's at 188.5 right now, and I'm going to play the under on it. He threw for over 230 last week, but again, it all came on the last drive. And if you can't establish a run game at all against the worst run defense in the league, which I kind of expect to happen, I think the Packers are actually going to get up for this game a little more. Both teams are still mathematically in the playoff hunt. It's a Monday night game. It's in the frozen tundra, like you said, in Lambeau. Like, there's still a reason against the defending Super Bowl champions. There's a reason maybe to get a little excited for this game. So if Cam Akers can go nowhere, then I'm going to love Baker Mayfield dropping back and trying Jair Alexander all night because it ain't going to work. I'm going to tell you that right now. So we look at his pass yards total set significantly lower than what he did last year, and that says all it needs to me. That's kind of speaks volumes. So I'll play the under on his pass yards and expect him to struggle all night.
I love that, and I agree with you 100%. I'm also going to fade Aaron Rodgers under the 227.5 passing yards. It's at minus 133. I feel like the Packers game script, should be simple. Run the ball. You got Aaron Jones. You got A.J. Dillon over the past 3 games. The Rams are allowing 124 rush yards per game, including allowing 165 just last week. Rodgers has gone under this mark in 6 of his last 7 and 4 straight. In fact, the last 2, he's been under 185 yards. So I do think they're going to come out aggressive. Again, we like the under. I think it's going to be more of a ground and pound. I don't think that Rodgers gets close to this number.
I think that's super interesting too. And he's on extended rest too. So maybe, they look to like keep the boy healthy and maybe give him a shot at next year, whatever they're going to do with that contract, pound the rock in a cold game. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, right. Well, we've been kind of negative on this game. We're taking unders left and right. We're fading the quarterbacks and their pat. What's something that we like to hit over? Who do we have faith in tonight?
Right. Well, if we really do see a lack of offense, then where is it going to come from? Somebody's got to score, right? You got to score points to win a game. I like, for all the negative things we've said about the Rams, their defense has held strong this year, even missing Aaron Donald. I mean, that line is strong. I mentioned David Bakhtiari, maybe the best offensive lineman on the Packers. He's out. So now that defensive front gets a little scarier. What do you got to do? We talked about just now, keeping Rodgers healthy. Get the ball out quick hitter stuff. Yeah. I'm looking at the running back receiving props. I'm looking at receptions. I see Aaron Jones on Caesars set at over 3.5 is plus money. Well, he had a 5, I think, in the last game. And then I see A.J. Dillon over 1.5 is set at minus 135. And I think to myself, is the plus money the shiny candy they want me to take, the more receiving friendly back in Aaron Jones? But I've seen more kind of production and solid, consistent play from A.J. Dillon, who's not known as a receiving back, but he's there. He's there on that little check down, hands out. And he had 4 catches. He needs 2, right? And he had 4 catches last week. So quick hitter stuff, check down stuff. Don't take sacks. Don't get hit up by that nasty Rams defensive front. Get the ball out to A.J. Dillon for over 1.5 receptions. I think that can cash.
I love that. And I love the, looking at the board too and saying, why is this plus money? And then this one, for less. I agree with you. I would take this all day long. I actually like Van Jefferson over 2.5 receptions as well. It's at minus 123. So Van hasn't been getting as much love as we thought with all of their receivers down as Tutu has been getting, but the volume is definitely there. He's had at least 4 targets in the last 4 games, and he's hit the over on this mark in 3 of his last 5. There seems to be a good connection between him and Baker. Obviously, he caught the game-winning pass in the end zone just last Thursday night. Mayfield suggested that they knew each other well. He tried to recruit him to Oklahoma and that Van owed him. I feel like Van is going to be rewarded for catching that pass, winning the game. Him and Baker seem to have something going on. He certainly has the targets. At 3.5, this just feels low to me for Van Jefferson. So I'm going to go over the 2.5. I
love your logic there. Beyond X's and O's, it's sometimes just about chemistry and feel. And if one guy you have a good relationship, good rapport with, you guys are just in sync. If I'm going to play any offense on the Rams, I like where your head's at there. I would tail that Van Jefferson.
All right, now for a fade, what's a player prop you like to hit under?
All right, so yeah, unders are very much welcoming. And look, I mean, I'm just going to hammer down on fading Baker Mayfield. I'm going to go under 16.5 completions. And I just think it's going to be tough sledding for him all night. Again, I'm seeing a lot of 3 and outs. I'm seeing a lot of possession from the Packers, A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones pushing the pile, picking up first downs, and keeping Baker on the sidelines just for another 3 and out when he comes back. So It's a low total, but at plus 100, plus 102, I believe, I'll bite at that. I think he might only have 13, 14 completions tonight, and we could stay under this low total.
I love this. And what I think is just so interesting, and it plays into kind of our narrative of fading Baker Mayfield and taking the team total under, for him to get over just one touchdown. I mean, it's at minus 214, but they didn't even put it at 1.5. They don't even think he's going to get over that. And when I look at like all of his numbers just seem like they don't even have a lot of faith that he's going to get more than one touchdown. So I agree. I like this one a lot. I'm actually going to take Cam Akers under 55.5 rush yards, which I know people are like, what are you talking about? He's their number one running back, and the Packers have struggled to stop the run. The linebackers actually grade out as the worst collection of linebackers in the league in regards to run defense, but Akers has been pretty inconsistent. His ground efficiency, just 3.35 yards per carry. That's bottom of the league. It's literally the third percentile of all running backs. LA tends to abandon the run pretty early on because their run game is so terrible. And if you look at Kyren Williams, he's actually getting more yards per carry than Akers is. So I feel like, one, they're going to abandon the run game pretty early on. And also, I think they're going to lean on Kyren Williams a little bit stronger. So I'm going to fade Akers in this spot.
That's a really interesting look. Kyren Williams has a lot of talent. He's got a lot of potential. And if the season's dwindling and they're losing this game and it ain't looking too good and they're playing from behind, why not go away from Akers and try out some Kyren Williams a little bit? And even if they do go for Akers, I mean, despite the Packers' poor rushing defense, I just watch him run into walls. Like, it's not even creative run schemes for him. So I like that, especially with the Kyren Williams angle. That's interesting.
Interesting. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, let's talk long shot bets. Whoa. I had a hard time with this long shot bet. I got to tell you, I was looking at things. I'm like, I don't really see any kind of explosive things happening in this game. However, it's fun for a little sprinkle. What do you think?
So let's make a little same game parlay action, and let's make a long shot sprinkle. I got plus 800 on this one, and It is the full on Baker fade. The Faker Mayfield same game parlay. Baker under passing yards, Baker under completions, Baker under touchdown passes, and Baker under rush yards. Plus 800. If he fails to do anything tonight, we win 8-1.
And honestly, you just feel like that's going to happen. So I agree with you. And I'm kind of on a similar train where I'm fading Baker Mayfield. I mean, by the way, if Baker comes out and has the best game ever, we're going to look like two clowns, and we will own it. Don't you worry. However, my long shot, I'm going to take Green Bay to win all 4 quarters. That's a plus 1,200. Look, we don't think that the Rams offense can do anything. And we do think that the Packers are a little bit more motivated here. They're still kind of in the playoff hunt, certainly more than the Rams are. They're going to come out and try to win this. Why not have Green Bay win all 4 quarters at plus 1,200?
Wow, that's super. To win each quarter. That means, and by the way, that means for those who have never bet on anything like this, if they have to win the first quarter 3-0, they have to win the second quarter 7-3. You can't be up at the end of the quarter and win it. They actually have to win that quarter. But plus 1,200, I like where you went there. That's fun.
I mean, it's at plus 1,200. And even if we look back to the Raiders game, the Rams were losing all of the quarters until the last 5 minutes, when they were able to score those 2 touchdowns. So at plus 1,200, we don't like what Baker Mayfield and this offense can do. They're in the frozen tundra. The Packers are motivated. I don't know. It's worth a sprinkle. So you already gave me your same game parlay. Is there possibly a teaser that you like for this?
Let's tease it up a little bit. And I tell people, technically, I don't love to tease totals. It's a mathematically tougher bet to hit. There's a lot more variance with totals. So the move is, if you're going to do a teaser, tease the spreads. But on standalone games, we want to have a little fun, run Moxie bets. We're going to make some bets. Let's tease this game. And I'll go to Packers -1 in a 6-point teaser. I'll tease the spread down, Packers -1. We think they're going to win this game. 7's a little wide. And I'll tease the total up to 45.5, thinking, hey, if we like the under, give me up above that key number of 45 too, and I got to feel great about that total. So Packers -1, under 45.5 in a 6-point teaser.
I love it. What are the odds on that? What, minus 130, minus 120? Oh, minus 110. Great. Yeah, and I love that too, because if you don't feel so good about the side or you don't feel so great about the total, go ahead and teaser and you get basically the same odds there. So I love that one. I'm looking at a same game parlay for this. I'm going to take Crosby over 1.5 field goals. Low scoring game usually favors field goals. Aaron Jones for an anytime touchdown. Aaron Jones is a perfect 17 for 17 on touchdowns in December of his career. No Aaron Donald's going to be a good spot for Jones to continue his hot streak. Give me him for an anytime touchdown. And I'm also going to do Aaron Rodgers over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Now, I know I said the game script is going to be very ground heavy, but some short, quick passes in the end zone are likely. Jalen Ramsey this year is trash, okay? Ever since he was like, I'm him. He hasn't really done anything. So I like Rodgers to get over 1.5 passing touchdowns. And of course, look, if I want them to win every quarter, he's got to be scoring. So that's at plus 750. That's my same game parlay.
Shots fired at the Rams. Oh my God, I love that. Yeah, I like where you're going on that one. And look, I'll just give you guys a couple trends to close out on why we're confident the Packers even more. We're forgetting to mention that they're off the bye. Rodgers is really good. 8-2 straight up, 6-3-1 against the spread off a bye. He's really good at Monday Night Football. He's good at night games. Baker Mayfield, 0-3 against the spread at night. So I think we're in a good spot trend-wise as well. All signs point to the Packers in the under. Let's get it, Katie.
Let's get it. And again, if somehow the Rams come out and Baker Mayfield looks like a stud, then we will be the first ones hand up to say we got this wrong. But I don't think we are. I really don't think we are. I think that Baker Mayfield is going to be Baker Mayfield, or like you said, Faker Mayfield, but we'll have to see how that goes. Now, Mox Locks, what are you absolutely taking to the window? I will start it. I'm taking the under 39.5, which we've discussed, and I'm going to take Van Jefferson over his receptions. I just think it's a good spot there. What are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm with you on that under 39.5. That's a must play for me. And I'm going to go with that A.J. Dillon over 1.5 receptions. I think that's a sneaky play, and the line is giving me the spidey senses like we talked about before that, that's the one that might hit over to Aaron Jones. So give me A.J. Dillon for 2 catches.
I love that, and I feel like we've got a lot of synergy in our bets on the show. Slightly different, but same way of thinking. So hopefully this works out for us. Danny, as always, thank you so much, Mr. Monday. This has been Moxie Bets presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Don't forget to follow us on social at Moxie Bets.